Hello, this is Dave from Sprues and Brews bringing you a segment from our latest podcast. It is led by Matt and it is our review of the Battletome for Cities of Sigmar. So I hope you enjoyed this segment, and if you'd like to hear more of our podcast, please check out spruesandbrews.com. For now, I'll leave you with the review, and any comments, please pop them in the comments below. Right, Matt, this is your time to shine. It's your deep dive into the Cities of Sigmar Battletome.
Yes, so this is it's no secret that I've been really looking forward to doing a Empire army in Age of Sigmar, because I love the old steam tanks and the guns and even the handgunners. But really, they've not been super competitive in Sigmar. It's been hard to build the army that you want because of
ally restrictions.
Yeah, ally restrictions
Keywords,
and the keywords, which is a shame for a lot of those old order factions. So back at the open day, as we eagerly ran into the main hall in Warhammer World,
or Matt did, because we were
you guys couldn't make it. We bumped into Jez Bickham and
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, yeah, and they pointed towards the cabinet, and there it was. Cities of Sigmar and some gorgeous new models painted up as said cities. So really the main kind of gimmick of this is reproducing everything that was left pretty much in the Order Grand Alliance book.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've not really had a home, they've not had proper artefacts and rules and synergy and all that nice stuff that we've got in current books. You could take a Grand Alliance Order army, but whether it's realistically as competitive as other books at the minute, probably not. Nah. So what this book set out to do was give you a way of using all those other Order models that were left over, all the elves, dwarves, humans that are still kicking around. Now, some of the range has been called just before the book came out. So a lot of the dwarves are gone, a lot of the wood elves are gone, some of the Empire kits have gone.
A lot of the high elves went.
Most of the high elves went.
Yeah, my favourite high elves went as well.
But that could be an indication of what kind of armies are going to get reinvented. Like, we're going to see Teclis and Tyrion's army, aren't we?
Yeah.
And maybe some of those kits will be reinvented or kind of even just slotted in there and they sell the kits again.
Sword Masters of the Mortal Realms.
Yeah. Sword Masters of the Mortal Realms. But a lot of the other kits survived, and this book is an amalgamation of all those other kits. So, in a new move for Battletomes, this book contains 7 or so short stories by Josh Reynolds.
That's cool.
And I think it's a really good thing to see Black Library authors writing these backgrounds to give, especially for this army. We know what the units are, but we haven't really had that much lore about the various units and the various factions. Like, who are the dispossessed? What are they doing?
Yeah.
What's the day in the life of a free guild gunner? And we get loads and loads of lore about this, which is one of the kind of really cool things we've seen in the second edition of Sigmar.
I think what also helps as well, because this book, if you were to look at it on like face value, it's a bunch of old models in a book given updated rules. What the extra bit of lore helps with is to basically, this encourages you to create a city, to unify your army, to give them a reason why you've got these units fighting together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even down to if you did narrative events and campaigns and stuff, there's so many great ideas. Like, obviously, I'm doing a Grey Water Fastness force, and there's a really great bit of lore. Grey Water Fastness is in the realm of life, but it's so polluted from all the gunpowder and various radioactive substances that they're using to fire off these guns that it's just a desolate wasteland around the city. But the forest is trying to reclaim its way in. And there's been clashes between the Sylvaneth and the Grey Water units because they don't get on so well, which is really cool.
See Isengard and the March of the Last End to visualise what it could potentially look like.
Yeah, but then even just like awesome stuff like wings of gyrocopters bombing the area around the city while the cannons on the city walls are firing away. Sadly, we don't have cannons anymore, but I'll let that one pass.
You've got your volley guns, I suppose, and
you've
your
got
rockets.
the same theme. And yeah, it's really, really nice. It's probably the most lore-heavy one we've had for a long time, with pretty much every city having a short story.
I was just about to say, as you're flicking through it, it looks like every city has a short story.
Yeah, which is really, really cool. So then we get information about the various kind of units and factions, so the Dispossessed, who they are, what they're doing, the Darkling Covens, the Dark Elves of the Old World, which we really haven't seen much of. You know, this is... It's a massive kind of nostalgia thing for me with all the old wood elves and stuff in there. We find out that the Wanderers aren't on speaking terms really with the Sylvaneth.
No.
The Sylvaneth see them as betraying them, which is, you know, interesting.
He said, she said, kind of.
He said,
Well,
she
yeah,
said.
because in End Times, Araloth took all the wood elves into the portals, didn't he?
Yeah.
Before? So Alarielle had a bit of a grudge against them.
Yeah, she sees them as deserting them.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to see. I think that one of the better things about the Age of Sigmar background is that within the Order faction, there's quite a lot of animosity and, you know, the tensions are rising, aren't they, in the lore?
Well, we've got Daughters of Cain as an Order force.
Well, yeah, exactly. We've got Teclis and Sigmar have had a bit of a Barney recently as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see where we go with that. Going on to the colour pages in the middle of the book, they've done a really great thing and painted up armies for each city. And one of my concerns was coming into this book that we'd have a hodgepodge of different units that don't really look well together.
Yeah.
Where, like on this page here, they've got the Living City, dwarfs and elves in similar schemes, just tying those old models together. Makes it look like a new army, even though all these kits are older than Age of Sigmar.
Dwarves and elves in the same list. Who'd have thought that?
I know. These must be the end times.
Yeah.
And yet we get full colour kind of pages of all of the cities, along with a banner kind of iconography, which is really cool. We also get some painting guides as well for each of the 3 cities.
Oh, that's cool. And it also includes contrast as well.
I think there's a few contrast colours in there. Not a great deal of, but a few. But different skin tones, which is nice to see. Some basing techniques, even how to do some of the more elaborate banners. The Living City's sigil is it's a burning tree, but the flames of the tree is the tails of the Sigmar comet.
I think that's one of the best looking symbols. It looks ace.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
cool.
cool. And then it shows you how to do that design. Yeah, it's I much prefer these newer books for all the kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, you definitely can't knock them. So on to the meat of the rules, and I'm sure you guys know a lot of this already, but if not, we'll give you a bit of a recap on how it works. When you select your army, you pick which city the army comes from.
Yep.
That doesn't lock you into certain units that you have to take. If anything, you can take anything you like from this book in any city, which is really cool. It gives you more bonuses that may play to strengths of certain units.
Yeah, there'll be some units that you'll want to look at closely in some cities because they'll just work better.
Are you tied into a realm?
You are, yeah. So each of the cities comes from a specific realm. So depending on which one you pick, most of them are in the realm of life or fire, I believe. An unusual one is Hammerhal, because it covers 2 realms.
Yeah, this is in the Gotrek audio drama.
Yeah. Which is really cool. So that does limit you with relic options, artifacts even. But you know, there's some cool stuff for each of these. We'll go through them and tell you what you can have. You also get new endless spells, which is a bit of a missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
But you get to count all of your endless spells from Malign Sorcery as empowered. So extra damage, extra range, all that cool stuff, regardless of what realm you're in. So
Yeah.
I think these could be a magically offensive army, and there's an army list later on in the show which just goes to ridiculous levels of magic superiority.
Nice.
You get to take some Stormcast in your army, because each city of Sigmar has a Stormkeep in it. 1 in 4 units can be a Stormcast Eternal unit. They gain the Cities of Sigmar keyword, so all the abilities in the book you can use with them as well.
This is what's tempted me to pick up the Cities of Sigmar book in the future to use my Stormcast with some different Old Order units,
Yeah.
that'd be really cool.
No, they
Painted in a
lose-
very similar scheme to Celestial Vindicators.
That'd be cool. Well, they lose their Stormhost keyword.
Yeah.
But, there's some cool stuff you can do. Like, for example, I take a Lord Ordinator to buff my artillery,
Mm-hmm.
and he counts as Cities of Sigmar, so there's no disadvantage, really.
No.
Really cool. Your general, if he's got 6 wounds or fewer, gets to take an honoured retinue. So this can be any unit between 5 and 20 models, and on a 4+, they take wounds from him when he suffers a wound, which is really cool.
Yeah. It's almost like the rules of old where you would have
Look out, sir.
a character connected to a unit.
Yeah, and I do wonder if this is something they'll have in future books to stop you from sniping out those characters. It's like you know what? I'd like to see this in 40k instead of the silly targeting rules.
Yeah, well then that
Yeah.
would make things like command squads and retinues and things back at warlock councils and things like that. Yeah, really
Yeah.
useful.
So that's really cool. You also get an adjutant, which is a secondary hero or advisor that goes around with your general. It can be a hero with 6 wounds or less, and if he's within 3 inches of your general, on a 4+, you get a command point every turn.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And there's lots of big heroes you can take, but it makes it worth taking your Empire General on foot and his Battle Mage standing next to him with a retinue of great swords or something to protect them.
Yeah.
It just seems really kind of fun from a thematic point of view.
Yeah, it does.
Which is really cool. So yeah, there's lots of fun stuff like this. So on to the cities. Hammerhal is the kind of title one. This is the one we've seen throughout most of the Age of Sigmar lore so far.
Warhammer Quest. Hammerhal.
Yeah. So it, like we said, it's in Akshi or Gairan, and you can choose which of the realms that you're in. They are a very command point heavy army. So for each unit with standard bearers in, and it's just unit with standard bearers. So if you've got 3 standards in the unit, it doesn't make any difference.
You still need it. Counts
Still
as
get
one.
one, yeah. You roll the dice for each of them. On a 6, you get an extra command point.
Okay.
And this is the start of every hero phase. So you can generate a lot of command points.
So even in your opponent's hero phase.
Your hero phase.
Your hero phase.
Yeah,
okay.
your hero phase. So if you've got minimum squads of great swords with banners, yeah, you can easily generate a lot of command points, which is really cool. If you've got Aventus Firestrike, who is the Magister of Hammerhal and a named character from the Stormcast Eternals book,
Mm-hmm.
who obviously who already has the Hammerhal keyword on his data slate.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, he's the
One on the big bird.
Yeah, the Toralan, isn't he? Yeah.
If he's your general, you get an extra command point at the start of your first hero phase. If you are in your territory, you do not take battle shock because you are heroically defending Hammerhal, which is a cool thematic thing.
That is very cool.
And they get a unique command ability. So in the combat phase, you pick a friendly Hammerhal unit within enemy territory. That unit can fight. So in the combat at the end of the combat phase, you've already fought. They can fight again. It's like Slanesh shenanigans with free guild.
Alliance Evocators.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you know what else I really like about that as well? Is that special character, that Stormcast one, he's got the Hammers of Sigmar keyword. So I never looked at him because I had a Celestial Vindicator army. So there's no point taking the name character because he wouldn't benefit from all my Celestial Vindicator stuff.
Yep.
If I got him, I could paint him up in Celestial Vindicator colours.
But use him in Hammerhal army.
Stick him in a Hammerheld army,
Well,
and I'm using his abilities.
What gets really fun is that command ability can be used multiple times. A unit can only benefit from it once, but you could charge your entire army up and get the entire army fighting twice.
4 units of evocators.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really good. Obviously, you'll stay within the 1 in 4 restrictions for your Stormcast units, but there's lots of cheap units you can have to pad this out. And really, in Hammerhal, you probably want multiple units to benefit from your banners roll.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So, some cool stuff. So each of these cities also gets some unique command traits, artifacts and spells. We're not going to go into all of them, but I'll kind of go through the kind of key ones that we've seen. So, your general could have an extra command point at the start of the battle to add onto the many command points that you're generating. That's all right. That's all right. You can also re-roll wounds of 1 for attacks made by melee weapons within 12 inches. That's also all right. But where it gets really good is aggressive general. Add 1 to hit for attacks made with melee weapons for all Hammerhal units within 12 inches if the general made a charge.
Yeah,
That's
good.
ace.
That's cool.
And there's lots of things that you can buff that with. For example, if you take the artifact, the Twin Stone, if you are in the Realm of Fire, add 1 to hit for all attacks made with melee weapons within 12 inches of the bearer. With just those 2 items on your general, your entire army within a 12-inch bubble is +2 to hit.
+2 in melee. Wow.
It gets better than that. There is some unique War Scroll battalions that you can take for each of these cities. So the Lancers of Hammerhal, which is pretty much the Hammerhal army I'd build, a general on a griffin, 3 to 6 units of demi-griff knights. Add 1 to hit and wound rolls when they make a charge move within 18 inches of the general.
So the +3 to hit.
+3 to hit and +1 to wound.
Do they get anything that triggers off 6 pluses? Because that'd be epic.
There is, but it's unmodified.
Ah, right, okay.
A lot of the new free guild stuff does mortal wounds on 6s to hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good.
That's ace.
The demigriffs are some of the recent, the more modern old fantasy edition.
One of the last Empire kits to be done,
nice.
weren't they? Yeah.
So I'm thinking this army, you could essentially build a Bretonnian army. You'd have a general on Griffin, a mage on Griffin, loads of demigriffs, and then throw in some evocators with some shenanigans.
They'd have to be evocators on Draculines though to fit the theme.
Yeah, how cool would that be?
That would be really
That
cool.
would be ace.
Or the other alternative, you go Warhammer Fantasy Army. Lots and lots of blocks of pikemen and generals and stuff to generate a load of command points. Then a massive block of demigriffs in your general charging like a knife into the heart of the enemy.
Yeah. Well, with all these bonuses to hit, just a big unit of like swordsmen or like you say, spearmen that might be hitting on 4s or 5s, suddenly hitting on 2s with like a ton of attacks. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's really really good. Quite excited about all the stuff you can do with this book. So the next one is the Living City. Now I think this is the one that would appeal to Jay.
Okay.
So this is in the Realm of Life, and in addition to being able to take 1 in 4 units as Stormcast, 1 in 4 units can be Sylvaneth, and they gain the Cities of Sigmar keyword as well.
Bleeding Alariel.
Yep, any Sylvaneth.
Oh, right.
Instead of setting up a Living City unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side, and it is in the hidden paths. You can put 1 reserve unit for every city unit you've placed on the battlefield. So essentially half your army can deep strike.
Which is what you can do in a Sylvaneth army currently, so you're not losing anything currently.
Yeah, well, their Living City was a bit different. At the end of any movement phase, you can set up 1 or more of these units anywhere on the edge of the battlefield, fully within 6 inches, 9 inches away from enemy units.
Oh, wow, okay, that's good.
So half of your army, turn 1, could deploy on any edge of the board.
Wow, yeah.
Similar to the recent 40k rules, if they're not on the battlefield by the start of the 4th battle round, they're destroyed.
Okay, yeah.
But you can hold them for a few turns and put them like turn 3 or something.
It also forces the opponent to be careful with their own deployment.
Oh, definitely. That's good. Where it gets really good, every unit on the battlefield regains 1 wound at the start of your hero phase.
Oh, wow. That coupled with Alariel healing all Sylvaneth units. Right, okay.
They have a command ability. If you shoot with a Living City unit that's more than 9 inches away from enemy unit and is wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Living City hero, they can move after they shoot. So you use your hidden paths to put, say, I don't know, a tree man 9 inches away from the enemy.
Dirty.
It shoots, it then moves, and then smashes something in the face.
Whoa.
That's really cool.
It's really, really cool. And again, thematically and army list building, it's completely different than Hammerhal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. There is some really cool traits, such as Forest Strider. You can run and charge in the same turn.
Okay, that's epic.
You can also have Iron Oak Artisan. So add 1 to save rolls and add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by the general. So if you had, I don't know, Durthu as your general, he'd be wounding on 2s.
With what save has he got anyway?
Here's a 3+ save.
You'd have a 2+ save
wounding on
Durthu.
2s. If you want to make him really good, you give him the Spear of the Hunt, which increases the rend of his weapon by 1.
These Guardian Sword is also already pretty powerful.
So it's
that's
rend
good.
2 currently, that'd be rend 3 Guardian Sword. And if he charges, he fights at the start of the combat phase.
Oh, what? Fight first.
Or, you put that combo on Alarielle. Oh, you can't put it on Alarielle because she's a named character. But Dirthu's fair play.
Durfu's not a named character, yeah.
There's another really nice artifact, the Wardroth Horn. So, very elfy. Once per battle, you sound this horn. Until the start of your next hero phase, every single living city Sylvaneth unit on the battlefield adds 1 to their attack characteristics for all melee weapons.
Wow.
It's all your Kernoth hunters.
All your Kenneth Hunters, Alarielle, Tree Men. Yeah. Some really, really good stuff. They have a unique spell lore as well with some healing spells and, shenanigans. So I think you could build some amazing Wood Elf armies using this.
That's really good.
It's also pretty good for dispossessed armies.
Yeah.
Because you get around that movement mechanic. So you can be bringing on Iron Drakes 9 inches away from...
Yep.
From, on the backfield, straight where you need them, blasting away with their Drake guns.
This would work well with your Steam Tank army that can teleport on and heal a wound on every Steam Tank every turn.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many options in this book.
That's so cool. And imagine if you did that, you could put all vines and stuff going over your steam tank.
And I think that's one of the massive selling points of this book to me. You can go to town theming your army for each city.
Yeah.
So Grey Water Fastness is what I've gone for, and these are pretty brutal, aren't they, Dave?
They are pretty brutal. Yes.
So they're in the realm of life. They increase the range of all Ironworld Arsenal units by 3 inches, which makes a massive difference.
Yeah, it does.
It means that you can, be back a bit from that deployment line and still be able to pummel the enemy with gunfire.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they can take an additional Ironworld Arsenal artillery piece. So you can take 5 artillery pieces in the Ironworld army, which is pretty cool. They have a command point where a friendly unit of Iron Drakes or Handgunners add 1 to hit for missile weapons.
Alright, okay.
For a command point, which is pretty cool. They can also take Rune Lords and they can add 1 to hit rolls on a 2+ prayer. No benefit, no downside if you fail. So it's all about hitting things in the face with guns. And then there's some of the abilities aren't so good here, but some nice command traits like add 1 to hit for missile weapons within 12 inches of the general. Nice to stick on a tank. Reroll hits 1. Sorry, stick it on your steam tank commander. Get him reroll.
Well, it was helping you, wasn't it?
Yep.
Especially with your steam gun.
It's really handy. And then there's some nice relics such as Steam Piston Plate Mail. Add 1 to save rolls. And if he's not got a mount, add 1 to movement. But really, you'd have that on your steam tank for a 2+ save.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. They've also got a spell lore, which is cool. The Phoenicium is the Phoenix Guard army.
This is the other one that appeals to me from a background point of view.
Yeah, well, they've got some really cool stuff. So they come from the realm of life. If a friendly unit's been destroyed in the same phase, your entire army gets +1 to hit and wound.
Yeah.
So what you take is some sacrificial units, like, I don't know, flagellants, send them up, get them killed, everything's +1 to hit and wound. It's really good. Your Phoenixes have got 1 more wound than normal.
Okay, that's not bad. Phoenix
themed. And a command ability, they can make Frostheart and Flamespire Phoenixes fight before they're removed from play.
So so once he died, you get 1 last.
Yeah, so if you go in, attack with it first, get it killed, then it can attack again before it's removed.
And if you go for a flame one, then it could potentially come back to life.
Yep.
It turns into Slayers.
Pretty much. So yeah, really, really good. Some really nice stuff with them. We've got Anvil Guard. These are the Dark Elf army, monster heavy. They can take Charybdises and Hydras as battle line.
These guys were quite tempting for me because I quite like the idea of a pirate force.
Yeah, and they definitely fit into that. So they're from Akshi. They have illicit dealings because, it's all piratey and there's trades going down. Because of that, they can choose one of the 3 benefits. Either a hero can have an additional artifact of power,
Okay.
which is pretty cool. They can have an additional Drake Blood Curse. Now these are abilities that you can give to your monsters,
Oh, right. Cool.
or you get D3 extra command points. All of them are pretty good. So the curses, you get one for each battalion, I believe, and you get an additional one if you use the dabblings in sorcery. They're all right. They're not the they're not the greatest. So each time you have a wound inflicted on a monster on a 4+, the attacking unit suffers a mortal wound, like the volcanic blood of the magma droth.
Yep.
Or when they charge on a 2+, they do D3 mortal wounds. Essentially the same rule that steam tanks have
I
got.
think that's all right. That's pretty good.
Or subtract 2 from bravery of enemy units that are nearby, which is also pretty good. You can't duplicate them.
Right.
But yeah, you can get a couple on there.
They're basically like mount traits, aren't they?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. They have a command ability where if you pick a friendly unit and slay a model in that unit, he's dead. All Anvil Guard within 18 inches don't take battle shock. Basically make an example. Commissars, essentially.
Mm.
So they're pretty cool. I don't think they're the strongest one, but if you want a monster-themed list, go crazy with that. The Drake Blood Curses could be cool if you go monster heavy, I think.
Yeah.
And the Dark Elf models they also stand up, I think, in today's standards. They're actually quite nice, the Dark Elf models, so it gives you an excuse to use those nice models.
Yeah, definitely. And then we have Hallowheart. Now this, I think, is going to be the kind of top list that we're going to see here, because it is rather good. So it's from Akshi. Every time a friendly Hallowheart unit is affected by a spell or endless spell, you can roll a dice. On a 5+, you ignore the effects of the spell, like your old Dwarven Resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Every Hallowheart wizard can cast an extra spell in their hero phase.
Wow, that's also good.
And they have a command ability. You pick a Hallowheart wizard. You roll a d6. It suffers that many mortal wounds and gains that to its casting rolls for all friendly Hallowheart wizards within 12 inches of that wizard.
That's really good.
So you take a mage on a griffin or something on a hurricanum or luminarch, take some wounds, it's fine. Everything within 12 inches gets that added to their casting rolls, and they can all cast extra spells.
Do you know that's also really good on a Stormcast wizard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Also, if it's your general and you've got a unit nearby,
Yeah.
they can take the wounds on a 4+.
Yes.
Yeah, good spot.
So I think this is what we're going to see a lot of in competitive Cities of Sigmar lists. They're really good, and there's some ridiculous stuff as well. So if your general's a wizard, add 3 to the roll to dispel endless spells.
So nobody's casting anything around.
No one's casting
cool.
anything. You can have a relic to let you know the entire lore of Whitefire.
Lore of Whitefire.
So this is the unique.
Oh,
lore
right.
that
Oh, I
they get.
see. Right, okay.
So 6 spells. You have 2 of each spell for each wizard in your army.
Nice.
If you have that relic, your person with the relic gets all the spells. So you have got options with magic.
Yeah.
Many, many options.
Yeah.
These guys could put, Nagash to a wizard duel.
What casters have you got available to you?
That's a good question. What casters have you got available to you? You have got the mounted Wood Elf casters.
Sisters of the Thorn. Yep.
You have got battle mages on griffins. You've got sorceresses on black dragons. Both of the big mounted things, the Luminarch and the Hurricanum.
Yep.
You have got every Stormcast Eternal caster.
Right, okay, yeah.
You've got lots of options. You can build a list, which I'm going to come to in a minute, where every single model in your army is a caster.
All right.
Or being able to cast an additional spell. And endless spells are the buffed versions of those endless spells. Yeah, they're pretty tasty. Then finally, we have Tempest's Eye. This is a Caradron port, trading port essentially. So their main rule is that 1 in 4 units can be Caradron Overlords, and they get the Tempest Eye keyword. They are super fast. So first battle round, every single model in your army gets 3 to its movement characteristic. This could also help out the dwarves who are quite slow.
Yeah.
Also, in a similar theme, they get 1 to their save rolls on the first battle round as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty tasty. You add 1 to run rolls for Tempest Eye units. Yeah, pretty good. not as good as some of the others, but I think the +3 movement and add 1 save is very good.
Yeah, it is.
However, playing off the +1 to run, they have a command ability where a friendly unit can run even if it can shoot even if it ran in the same turn. So they're going to get up the table really, really quickly.
Helps with your Iron Drakes and Thunderers and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, what also helps with Iron Drakes and Thunderers, there's a hero's command trait. Every friendly unit within 12 inches of your general adds 1 to wound rolls made by missile weapons.
Oh yeah, that's good. So you can. There are no Thunderers anymore, Dave. Thunderers.
Gunstruck Thunderers from the Caradron Overlords.
Oh, Sorry, I thought you meant Thunderers
Yeah.
as in the proper Thunderers. That no
The
one
proper
uses.
Thunderers.
Yeah, because you can take Rune Priests, Rune Lords, which increase the rend on your Iron Drakes. And I think your Warden King can increase the wound value on the Iron Drakes. And then there's this ability as well.
Now, Iron Drakes can fire twice, can't they?
Yeah, they've changed this, I think. You've read the book. But it used to be they could fire twice if they had 10 or more models. Now I think it's fired twice if they have 10 or more models and have stayed still.
Yeah. But there's a spell, Aura of Glory. It goes off in a 7. You add 1 to the attack's characteristic of... it's melee weapons. Sorry, I thought it was ranged weapons.
Ah, right, yeah.
Still pretty good, though, if you want to get something quickly up into battle.
Well, I know Hammers are very good. They're the dwarf unit which I think have been most improved in the Cities of Sigmar book.
They also have a spell that's really handy. Celestian Visions. On a 7, you receive an extra command point. You can just cast a spell to get a command point.
That's a Tempest Ice spell, is it?
Yeah. So they're pretty good. I think maybe not as good as some of the others, but there's definitely some options there. I was tempted with this for my steam tanks. Overpower the engines. They're all moving 2d6 plus 5 on the first turn with a 2+ save across the board.
I think it's cool that you can add quite a lot of Caradron Overlords into your list.
Yeah, it is really cool. So the units that you can take and what's battle line has changed somewhat in this book, and there's loads of options. So essentially all your swordsmen, spearmen of whatever flavour, dark elves, wood elves, empire, are all battle line. Anvil Guard, as we said, get the monsters of battle line, so Charybdises and Hydras. By the wording of this, they no longer have the Behemoth keyword. Instead, they have battle line.
Oh, right.
So you get all these monsters of battle line plus your 4 Behemoths.
Wow, okay.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
The same applies to steam tanks, where if you take a steam tank general, all your steam tanks become battle line instead of Behemoth. And again, you can take 4 Behemoths as well, which is pretty brutal. Blackheart Corsairs are battle line if your general is a Scourge Privateer.
It's like a Fleet Master.
Yep, so you can have your parity themed army. Blackguard, if your general's Darkling Coven. Dark Riders if you're Shadowblade. Demigryph Knights are battle line if your general's Free Guild. So you can build your entirely mounted force. Drakespawn Chariots, which are really interesting, are battle line if your general is Order Serpentis. So you can have an entire chariot list. Which again is very,
Something
very
you
cool.
like.
Likewise, the Drakespawn Knights and the Executioners. Flagellants are battle line if your general is human. And they're really cheap, 80 points. They'd work well in your Phoenicium list and just send them forward to die. Great Swords are battle line in a Free Guild army. Outriders and Pistoliers are battle line in a Tempest Eye army. These are really cool.
To fit them fast moving.
Yeah, so these are your fast horsemen who,
Shooting.
After they've charged, get to shoot. So you move them up, you shoot, you charge, you shoot, you fight.
Nice.
Which is really, really cool. Gyro bombers and gyrocopters are no longer artillery, so you can take as many as you like in your army.
They're not battle line, but fill out your cheap battle line and then throw as many of them as
So
you
you're
can.
not restricted.
You can have a wing of gyro bombers.
Yeah. And they have a discount for being in units as well.
Alright, okay, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Hammerers are battle line in Dispossessed. Iron Drakes are battle line if your general's Dwarden. Phoenix Guard are battle line if you're Phoenix Temple. They are really good. The other chariots for the privateers. Shadow Warriors are battle line if your general is Shadowblades. They're a very good unit as well that we're going to cover in a second. And Sisters of the Thorn and Sisters of the Watch are battle line if your general's a Wanderer, as are Wildwood Rangers. So you can pretty much build whatever army you want. I really like that they've not locked the units into the cities, because that would have been really restrictive army building.
Yeah.
I think we've only scratched the surface of what ridiculous armies you can build with this book.
I really like the themes that you can go to with those. With all those battle line options as well. There's very few limitations.
Yeah, I mean, there's most of the war scrolls have been updated to bring them in line with current books, which is a good thing because most of these were from the Order Grand Alliance book, which came out with the game back in the Mists of Time.
And they had some pretty cheesy and some very poor war scrolls.
Yeah. So a lot of these have been refined and there's some really, really good stuff. I've picked 4 units that I think are the go-to units in this book. So we've got the Celestial Hurricanum. You can have it by itself or with a wizard standing on top of it.
Okay.
And it's fairly cheap. I think you can have it sub 200 points. Where are we? Celestial Hurricanum with a mage on top is 280, which is pretty good. Without the mage, it's 220. Which is
cool.
Not bad. This is your hit buffing aura monster. So there's quite a few things that you can get to get your hit up of your army. What you're struggling with is range stuff. Now, unless you go Grey Water Fastness, where they can maximise on that, this just has an aura +1 to hit for friendly Cities of Sigmar models.
So it doesn't say if it's shooting or comp.
Yep.
It's just anything.
Just +1 to hit. Starts at 10 inches, it degrades as it takes more damage, but you can get steam tanks up to like 2+ to hit.
Why did I not think of this? There's another unit that would love this. A Stonecast Eternal unit, the Ballista.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With a Lord Ordinator as well.
Yeah. But that's not. I mean, that's really good ability anyway for a big Behemoth with 11 wounds.
Yeah.
Just buff up your army. Where it gets really cool is the Storm of Shemtek, the death beam on the top of it. So this has got a range of 18 inches. You roll a number of dice equal to the Storm of Shemtek ability, which with no wounds suffered is 3. For every 2+, the target unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. It just shoots mortal wounds at things.
This is just a big laser, isn't it?
So it's the other way. It's the big like
the
Astro logo on the top of it.
Oh, right, okay.
So 18-inch range, 3 to 9 mortal wounds at any unit. Don't have to roll to hit. Just does minimum 3 mortal wounds. 220 points. Extra 60 points. You can have a wizard on the top of it.
Improves everything, doesn't it?
The wizard has chain lightning. You goes off on a 6. Target unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Every other enemy unit within 6 inches takes D3 mortal wounds on a 4+. Or the Comet of Cassandora is back. Pick a unit within 18 inches, roll 2d6. If it's less than or equal to the move characteristic, they take D3 mortal wounds. If it's greater than, they suffer D6 mortal wounds. This thing is just mortal wound output.
That is cool.
It is really, really cool.
It's a really nice model as well.
It also has a really interesting ability that I don't think many people have picked up on yet.
Okay.
I do apologise if you've gone, oh my god, this is amazing, on Twitter. It adds 1 to the casting rolls if the battle is taking place in Azir. We do not have rules for battles in Azir yet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So this points at potentially a new realm opening up, Sigmar's realm.
Well, he's locked the doors, hasn't he? That's where we are currently.
So war could be coming to the heavens.
That's an interesting snippet.
It is an interesting snippet. So yeah, this thing is really, really cool. Oh, and it also adds 1 to casting rolls for all friendly wizards within 12 inches as well.
And that would include himself.
Include himself,
if you've got a wizard on there.
And if you take those mortal wounds with him in the other army, you can just get up to ridiculous pluses to cast.
That's awesome.
Potentially +7 to cast on all the wizards in your army. So yeah, that's pretty cool. My next go-to unit is the steam tank, the trusty steam tank. Dave saw the full force of this in the battle the other day, and it's cool. It's changed a little bit. Before, you used to be able to take the pintle-mounted gun on them all. Now that is uniquely to the general version. Mm-hmm. But you can take a general steam tank, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's got a command ability. Friendly steam tanks within 6 inches, add 1 to hit to a targeted unit.
Yep, so what that can do.
Yeah, and again, you could combo that with the Hurricanum for +2 steam tanks. Hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, -2 Ren, D6 damage. Mental. They do impact hits when they charge in on a 2+, D3 mortal wounds. So a wing of these flying in could do a lot of damage.
Can you still pump steam into the engines?
You can. So you roll 2d6 and you have to roll over the number of wounds currently suffered. So on a front profile, you're always going to pass it. As you take more wounds, it gets riskier to use the ability. If that goes off, you add 2 to the move characteristic and 2 to the attacks characteristic of the steam gun. which has 2d6 shots. 4+ to hit, 2+ to wound. -1 rend, 1 damage. Oh, sorry, no rend on the steam gun.
Right.
Yeah.
But with the +2 from overpumping the engine, there was a lot of shots going off in your guys. It's only got an 8-inch range, but it's pretty good at thinning out things.
If you roll like Matt, you're getting quite a few shots.
You could put a rune priest next to it and give it -1 rend on all its weapons.
Yeah.
With a 2+ prayer.
The only problem with that is your little rune lord would be running after a bunch of tanks.
Yeah.
And they're pretty quick at 2d6 movement.
Yeah.
And again, overcharging the engine, at least you're moving 4 inches with it.
Yeah.
Which, is pretty good. Instead of doing that, the commander can heal himself D3 wounds as well. So, yeah, he's hard to get rid of. Especially if you give him the artifact to give him a 2+ save.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really, really good. My next go-to unit is the Phoenix Guard. Now, these guys, I think, we'll see in a lot of competitive lists because they're amazing. So, they've got 2 attacks base with a 2-inch range, 3+ to hit, 3+ to wound, -1 rend, 1 damage. They do not take battle shock if they're within 12 inches of a friendly Phoenix Temple hero.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Where they're really good, every time they suffer a wound or mortal wound, they ignore it on a 4+.
Yeah.
That's like
really good.
disgustingly resilient down to 11.
So if you put them in that army that... Was it Hammerhal? Where you got another 4+ to... If you had a spell or endless spell, you would get both of those, wouldn't you?
You would. So that is the Hallowheart.
Hallowheart.
So if you get affected by a spell, you'd ignore it on a 4+. Then if you took any damage, you'd ignore them on a 4+.
And
If you take a general and you have a unit of Phoenix Guard guarding him, and then get hit by an endless spell, on a 4+, you ignore the endless spell. Your general takes any wounds on a 4+, he can then transfer it to the unit, and then on a 4+, they ignore it.
And if you had the Hurricanum next to it.
yeah, it's just ridiculous stuff you can do with these. So I think we'll see a lot of Phoenix Guard. They're really nice models, so that's a good thing. But yeah, mental. My last little shout out unit, there's lots and lots of units in here, but I just wanted to cover the kind of the main standout ones for me are Shadow Warriors. These guys are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could easily proxy them as like Way Watchers as well if you want to do like a Wood Elf themed army.
Yeah.
So these guys have got bows, 18-inch range, 1 attack, 3+ to hit, 4+ to wound, -1 rend and 1 damage, which are pretty good. But instead of putting them on the battlefield, you can put them at the end of your movement phase anywhere on the battlefield 9 inches away from enemy units.
Yeah. So it's almost like the Living City, but on a war scroll.
Well, it's better than that.
Yeah.
If they're in cover, they get +1 to hit and wound.
Oh, wow.
So you put them at the end of your movement phase in a piece of scenery. They are hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, -1 rend, 1 damage. They're pretty tasty. And I think they're like 120 points maybe.
They're nice models too.
And you can take them as Battleline as well in some lists.
Shadow
can't
Warriors,
you?
I don't think are Battleline.
Did I hear you say Shadow
Yes,
Warriors?
they are. If you've got a Shadow Blade General, they are Battleline. That is the Assassin, I believe.
Yeah, Shadow Blades, Assassin. Right.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So yeah, lots of options. There's enough units to build an army to your taste as well, and a lot of things that you could proxy for the stuff that's been discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see lots of these armies. I think at the doubles this weekend just gone, I think there was loads of Cities of Sigmar armies.
And I think we'll see even more of them at the next one, because obviously this one was quite soon after the book had come out.
Yeah, it was.
Not many people had been able to get creative and create their armies around these cities. Next one I can see like quite a few, a living city list of all like vines and trees over free guild handgunners and stuff. And
yeah. Well, for a little taste, I've obviously not had the book long, about a week or so we've had it, haven't we? But I thought I'd put together some example army lists to show you guys what awesome stuff you can do. So we'll open up with Greywater Fastness. This is the army that I'll probably be taking on to Warhammer TV and fought against Dave the other day.
Yep.
This is General Steam Tank Commander with a Drill Master ability for reroll on those ones to hit. The Steam Piston Armour for a 2+ save. A Lord Ordinator and a Cogsmith with Mastro Vinvetti's Magnificent Macroscope, which gives him +1 to hit, and also gives him a command point on the first turn.
Yep.
Which is cool. Battleline is 3 steam tanks and a unit of free guard handgunners. The handgunners' job is to get charge turn 1 and hopefully hurt it, protecting the rest of the army.
Yeah, they did that well.
That is their job. We then have a Hellblaster Volley Gun, a Hellblaster Volley Gun, a Hellstorm rocket launcher, a Hellstorm rocket launcher, and a good Grundstock gun hauler. And the free guild guns are in the Grey Water Artillery Battery. So turn 1, they all get to fire twice.
Yeah.
With the Ordinator to give them +1 to hit, with the Cogsmith to give them rerolls of 1s or reroll a number of shots they get with the volley gun. Potentially, you could have take out the handgunners and put in the Hurricanum to get another +1 to hit there. I think the handgunners are handy to just screen the army.
Yeah.
Then essentially you shoot the hell out of whatever's coming at you and then send the steam tanks in to finish them off.
Yeah. As a counter punch.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty solid list. I think a lot of people have built pretty much the same list or variations of. You could just go full steam tank. I don't think it'd be as effective as having that artillery platform at the back, just shooting away.
Yeah.
Because you tried to deal with them, but because each of those artillery pieces have got 7 wounds each, plus the 2 characters supporting, it's a lot to chew through.
Well, what I found is, if you take my brutes, for example, they killed one of your artillery pieces, but then in your next shooting phase, you just murdered the brutes. Because you got +1 to hit because I was within 12 inches. Was it 12 inches or 9 inches of you? So yeah, you just shot them to pieces.
Yeah, it's pretty deadly.
Yeah. So they were a bit of a waste of. I didn't really want my brutes to charge them. I wanted them to charge your steam tank, but they failed that charge. But it was within charge range of your stupid volley guns and stuff. So that's where they had to run off to.
The next list I've done is Hallowheart, and I think we're going to see a lot of this, and this is probably the list I'm going to build next out of this book.
Okay.
This, I imagine I'd lose any friends by bringing this list to a tournament. Let me know what you think. So we've got the General, a Nomad Prince. He's a wood elf, he's not a caster. It's fine, we'll give him the artifact that lets him become a caster.
Yep.
Brilliant. We have got a Celestial Hurricanum with Celestial Battle Mage, doing the +1 to hit shenanigans, +1 to cast spells, all that good stuff. We have a Luminarch of Haish with a white battle mage. That has got an aura where you ignore wounds taken on a 6.
Okay.
Pretty much the same as the War Shrine for Chaos.
Yep.
Which obviously stacks with their ignoring spells ability as well, which is pretty cool. And it's a high wound count thing to do your D6 wounds to buff
and
up
it's
your
got a
spells.
death beam.
Right, yeah.
And it's got a big death beam, yeah.
Yep.
That one, you pick a point in the battlefield, shoots a big laser. I think every unit it passes takes D3 mortal wounds.
Okay.
Comboed with the many
I'm
mortal wounds of the
visualising
other
this army in my head. Right, so we've got 3 models so far.
We've got a battle mage on foot. We've got another battle mage on foot. We've got a battle mage on a griffin. We have 3 units of Sisters of the Thorn as battle line, unlocked by having the Nomad Prince as your general.
Okay.
You have the Whitefire Retinue Battalion, which is 3 to 6 wizards. Add 1 to casting and unbinding for all friendly wizards while they're within 6 inches of another friendly model.
Okay.
So that's already base +2 to casting before all your other shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
You then take an Umbral Spell Portal, an Ether Void Pendulum, a Purple Sun of Saish, an Emerald Life Swarm, a Ravanax Gnashing Jaws, Quicksilver Swords, and a Soul Snare Shackles. You can cast all of those endless spells turn 1, plus another spell off your scroll, plus the higher level wizards can cast a few of the spells out of the book as well.
Wow.
Plus lots.
This isn't a City of Sigmar. This is the Impossible City army.
This can pump out more spells than the Tzeentch army.
I know how horrible it is to fight against an army pumping endless spells out as well, because I have fought a Tzeentch army like this, and it is very hard to play against. And I'm guessing as well, in this army, all your endless spells are empowered.
Yep, so I'm
it's
even further than you.
Yeah, it's even worse.
It makes it much harder for you to get the spells back through the portal. Yeah, I think we'll see a lot of this list.
That's a really good list.
And it's probably what I'm going to build next. And it's not a massive army. I think you've got like 16 models that are all wizards in your army.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, that's pretty tasty. I have done a Phoenician list as well, which I think is going to be pretty good. So this is an Anointed, which is the Phoenix Guard character.
Mm-hmm.
A Battle Mage. 20 Phoenix Guard. A retinue of 20 Phoenix Guard that will protect your Anointed. Obviously the Battle Mage will be your advisor guy to generate command points.
Mm-hmm.
Another unit of 10 Phoenix Guard, Flame Spire Phoenix, Frostheart Phoenix, and the Phoenix Flight War Scroll Battalion. Every hero phase, every Phoenician unit within 12 inches of a Phoenix heals 1 wound.
Okay.
That's quite good.
So you're just not going to kill him.
No.
And those Phoenix Guard will just sit there tanking wounds all day.
Yeah, you basically it's a good army to just, like you say, chip away at your enemy. They're going to take forever getting you off objectives.
Yeah. Then my final list I've done is a Living City army that I think Jay will appreciate. This is old school Wood Elves, very much themed around the Wood Elf army I had back in the Warhammer Fantasy days. So you have got the Spirit of Durthu with the Spear of the Wild Hunt, giving him another rend on his Guardian Sword.
Okay.
Because, 3 rends pretty tasty. You have the Nomad Prince, Druid of the Everspring Circle, which I think makes him a caster. And he also has the Wardroth Horn. He can sound it once per turn to give every Sylvaneth unit an extra attack. That includes Durthu.
Every Sylvaneth unit, or
Every
Living City?
Sylvaneth unit, every Living City Sylvaneth unit.
Okay.
Obviously Durthu. You have a L'Oreal, the Everqueen, who summons a Tree Man or some Colonel Hunters turn 1, who get +1 attack each from the Wardroth Horn.
Oh, yeah.
You have 3 units of Battleline Wildwood Rangers in the Viridian Pathfinders battalion. They can, if I check the wording of this, add 1 to charge rolls if they use the hidden paths. So they pop up and then charge in, smash things in the face. You have 2 units of Shadow Warriors hiding in scenery, shooting things at +2 to hit and 3 to wound, -1 rend, and then some Wild Riders because I had 130 points left.
Nice. Wild Riders are pretty good now as well.
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty tasty Wood Elf army.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So yeah, I think the money's on the Hallowheart though myself.
That does sound good.
For a kind of fluffy list, I'd probably go General on Griffin and all of the Demigriffs.
Yeah, for like a big charge. It's like you charge Rohirrim, isn't it?
Yeah.
With loads of demigriffs.
And you could throw in some like Hurricanums and stuff to add some magical support. But yeah, I think Hallowheart's where it's at.
I want to see a Hallowheart versus Zeech magical battle.
Oh, you'd have 3 times as many Zinch units to fight.
Yeah, because...
Thing is though, Hallowheart can kill him with all the magical output they can do.
Yeah. That would... Storm of Magic.
So that is the Cities of Sigmar book, and it is rather tasty. There's been some grumbles online that you kind of build 1,500 points and then spend 500 points to theme it after a city. I think that's a little bit unfair because, like we've seen on them, they've all got different units.
Yeah.
Some are obviously more effective than others. I think if you theme your army, you get a lot of reward in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many pages is that book, Matt?
The book is, if we flick to the back, 128.
Okay.
Was this book better than you imagined, or was it what you imagined?
I think
were you disappointed?
I think it met my expectations. I was a little bit disappointed that some of the older units have gone, but there's enough units that do the same thing to proxy it, like the Shadow Warriors being, Way Watchers.
Yeah.
And even with the different types of, really you've got Wood Elf Spearmen, Dark Elf Spearmen, Human Spearmen, Dwarf Warriors. You can mix those around and theme your army how you like.
Yeah.
I think the big thing with this one is how much creativity and freedom that you get compared to some Battletomes like the Caradron Overlords, where I have to take those Caradrons as battle line.
Yeah, the Arcanauts. Yeah.
So I hope this is something we see in future books. I really hope the Ogre book is like this, giving you the freedom to use whatever ogres.
Excellent. It sounds like a really good book. It's definitely given me some creative ideas going into the new year on potential Warhammer lists. So very cool.
For a more kind of detailed write-up of the book, though, if you head over to spruesandbrews.com, I have done a bit of a kind of written review as well for people who prefer the written format.
And I will pop the link in the podcast notes as well, so you'll be able to check that out. Right, thank you very much, Matt, for that deep dive into the Cities of Sigmar book. We're not quite finished with the podcast just yet, though, because we've got our top 3 coming up next.